from statement to statement. You can't make this up. Her biological father, Antonio, was unable to support her at the time and had not visited her in a couple of years at this point. We were told that there was no biological father, there was no DNA test, none of that stuff. Otherwise, we would have never been able to have Judge Gilbert. If that being said, Judge Gilbert would have never granted the name change, knowing that. And I've never met the man. He's never came by to pick her up or bring her anywhere. As far as I known, he wasn't the biological father. He wasn't on the birth certificate. I was raising her on my own. I married Michael in the fall of 2017. He convinced me that he really wanted to adopt Isabella and be her father. He made promises of the dad that he would be and how this would benefit her and us as a family. Since I was taking on the last name from the marriage, we both thought it would be beneficial for Isabella to also be an Orbino. I can reread the other statements, but I'm not going to go back and do all that. But completely now we're splitting up, so now I'm not a good father, and it does, none of this matters. And it was kind of like, it was just an idea. Let's just change the name. I mean, she literally has 2 court petitions simultaneously that contradict each other, but both of the consistencies in there is what a good father I am, and who Isabella comes to when she cries, when she has a bad dream, when she's hungry. Me, Dad. Me, that's what I do. If you know me, you know that one thing that no one can ever take away from me is the type of father that I am. No one will ever take that away from me. Michael had a friend from school who was a practicing attorney by the name of Tony Germano. He was supposed to help us with the adoption process, but informed us it would take a lot longer. I did know Tony from the neighborhood growing up, and we did go to the same school. But Mom is friends with his wife, the CPS worker. And that's how, and Mom was her attorney before we were married. And that's how Anthony Germano was chosen as the attorney. As like the 4th count of perjury in his statement right here. Supposed to help us with the adoption process, it would take longer. Since Isabella was starting kindergarten and we really wanted her to have our last name, so when she learned how to read and write, it wouldn't be confusing at school. I was informed that there may be a quicker way to get the name change done without having to wait to go for the adoption to go through. Michael brought me to Tony Germano's office in June of 2018. We were advised by his attorney that if we signed acknowledgement of paternity, Michael could get on Isabella's birth certificate and we could have the name changed much faster and cheaper since no one was currently listed on her birth certificate. That sounds like legal advice to me. And I wasn't involved in it, and no one ever heard me in that part of the conversation. He stated that this would happen anyways if we went through with the adoption. It seemed to make sense. By me at that time. I believed this was the best choice to make us feel like more of a complete family. This was the first and last time I ever spoke with Mr. Germano. I was not fully aware of the repercussions of signing the document until much later. Repercussions? I don't even know what repercussions that she's talking about. But the most important part here is like the 6th or 7th count of perjury in this statement. This was the first and last time I ever met or spoke with Mr. Germano. Now, I'm going to give you the date of this. This is in 2022. I have at least 3 or 4 court petitions that Anthony Germano and Mom signed together as her attorney. And like I said, she's friends with his wife as well. So this was the first and last time I ever met Mr. Germano. I ever spoke with Mr. Germano. She met him on her own. There was plenty of meetings and court dates and all kinds of paperwork. Supreme Court, family court, dates, hearings, you name it. I mean, at least, I would say at least a dozen, if not more, at the very least a dozen times that she spoke or met with Mr. Germano. I ever spoke or met with Mr. Germano. Well, apparently there's repercussions to signing this, which I was never made aware of until recently. And if repercussions means being tortured by Germano's friends for to help mom, so she keeps her mouth shut about this, because what this was a threat in open court, basically saying, I know something about Tony Germano and he had done something illegal, and there's no way that I'm going to share my daughter, that this is how I'm going to control the situation. I previously filed to establish paternity years ago when Isabella was still a baby, but did not go through with it as her father, Antonio, was incarcerated, and I felt he was not able to support my daughter at the time. So that tells you, right? I mean, in her own words, he was unable to. Well, why bother? I can't get money out of him. You know, that's all he was good for. I am aware there was a DNA test done that proves he is, in fact, Isabella's biological father, which is in the court records. However, I was not aware of this until the custody and divorce proceedings started. Ugh. You gotta be shitting me. Like you cannot make this up. So she completely throws him under the bus. Now, mind you, and this is where it gets even better, in front of Judge Serio. Now, if you're on Facebook, it's going to be in the comments. It's going to be on the post, and if you're on YouTube, it'll probably be in the community thing with the rest of the pictures for this. But in 2017, I put up a Facebook post. Sierra's art is now on display at the downtown location, 431 street address. Also, she's also been teaching art classes there too. Okay, well, picture of her artwork post. Okay, posted that on August 10th, 2017. That building belongs to Tom Serio, which is Tom and Julie Serio. Julie Serio is the judge that this went before to vacate. And Tom Serio is an attorney who is her husband, who they own that building. Sierra went there many a nights to help them work on the building. I remember it was in construction progress. I met Tom. We actually consulted with him for an adoption process. And he actually referred Tony Germano, and Sierra had been fine with that because she's friends with his wife and she already knew him. But she did actually, I picked her up there some nights where she stayed there late, helping them fix up the building, posting her artwork, cleaning up in the building, and friends with Tom and Julie. So I remember reaching out to Anthony, apologizing that she lied on this statement about him. I felt horrible. Why would she? And then after speaking with Anthony, I pulled the file and I started looking at some things. And I remembered he signed him and his secretary signed the wrong name. It wasn't done on the up and up, that's for sure. And the statements that mom makes here are ridiculous. I was unaware that there was a DNA test done. I was aware there was a DNA test done that proves he is in fact Bella's biological father, which is in the court records. However, I was not aware of this until custody and divorce proceedings started. So you're telling me from 2011 to 2018, she was not aware of this, that she had a DNA test done by the biological father, and she was not aware of any of this, that there was results to the DNA test that they took. Absolutely ridiculous. Like at least a dozen counts of perjury on this statement here. And again, it says at the bottom, perjury and I'm not even like, you got to understand something. I'm not here for vengeance. I'm not mad at anybody. I've known Anthony Germano since he was a kid, since we were kids, and I mean, I honestly like that. This has been done to me. This has been done so I can be here today, educating people, and even it's going even further. Like I can't even get into all of it now, but what I'm going to tell you is if you've had any problems with Anthony Germano, Arlene Bradshaw, any law guardian, if you've ever been forced into a deal or had your kids threatened or had CPS worker, take your kids based on what you believe is lies, if you have evidence you want it looked at, I can promise you I'm a pro at looking at this stuff now. There's a petition switcheroo trick Arlene Bradshaw likes to do. I'm finding people that she's done this to on literally on like on congressmen's websites. She's tons of appeals, and her name is all over the appellate court records, and others too. So listen, if you're local and you've had any issues, especially in family court with Anthony Germano, CPS, you felt like you've had anything done to you unjustly, I believe you because I'm going through it. This is a safe place. Inbox me. I got people we could talk to for support, counseling. Like, you don't even understand the resources that I've put together for this. And I'm not mad. I do believe that this was a cheaper way of going about it. And granted, it was a over 2-year process when we from start to finish with this. I don't believe Anthony intentionally set out to hurt anybody. I believe he knew I was a good father, and this was the best way to do it for his client, cheapest way to do it for his client, and I believe he took on a risk. And the biggest risk he took on was building his house of cards on a woman who has mental illnesses, and is a compulsive liar and narcissist. And I say this not to belittle her, because through this whole process I've been advocating for the family courts to do what they're supposed to do and get her help, mental health, drug test, like you name it. I've requested it, and my requests have went unanswered by Arlene Bradshaw. She's more concerned about where my son is going to go to preschool. That's not even it's not even a requirement through the New York State. But that's going to be a whole nother video. And what I'm doing is we're getting a bunch of people together, or we're looking into class action lawsuits, and a lot of other things. I want to hear your story. I want to make sure this doesn't happen to any people in the future, past, present, future. If you got a court case coming up, you're thinking about filing, before you even talk to an attorney, I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to tell everybody right now, and this is the best part of this, is that Anthony Germano gave this advice on my Facebook page to me and a bunch of other people, probably 2016-ish. New York is a one-party state. Check your local state. If you're on YouTube, check your local state and the laws. But what that means is if you're in a conversation with somebody, only one party needs to consent to record that conversation. That being said, record people that you if I don't trust someone, I'm recording them. There's going to be another way about doing that soon. I've developed another way around, that, but we've got that'll be in another video. Record them. If I've been told my whole life by certain people that the sky is purple, and literally been convinced that the sky is purple, and then only for them to look at you and call you stupid and tell you that the sky is blue. Where would you get that from? So I first started recording people even before Anthony Germano gave me and my Facebook post that piece of advice, because sometimes people would gaslight you so loud he would think, wow, am I crazy? You would question your own sanity. I've done that for a long time, and I finally started recording people at one point, and then I started calling them out, and that turned into recording dealerships for the Lemon Law, which I won a case. Richard Bombardo at the Mercedes dealership, when I would record my car, walk around it before I dropped it off, because one time there was a scuff in it. 2 times later I come and there's paint on, and I said, here's a video when I dropped it off. The damage happened here. and I would, before I brought it to the dealership, I would take a video of the dashboard. There's no check engine lights on. I brought it in for, what do you call it? A recall, a safety recall. I come back and the dashboard was lit up like a Christmas tree. Thank God I had a video. I video recorded the whole car, dash, around everything, and then there was a yellow scuff on the bottom of it of paint. And I said, what is it that was there? And we walked in, and I literally said, what bay? And a lot of I used to work at Firestone. I know a little bit about cars. I walked in and I said, what bay was it in? And they said, I think 11 or whatever it was. And I said, let's go to bay 11. And I said, I bet you the legs on the lift are yellow, probably, right? I said, because that's the OSHA safety. And went in there, and sure enough, there was gray silver paint for my car on the same spot where the arm would have been on the lift, and I had recorded proof of it before. Long story short is, people don't like to take responsibility for their actions, and they will lie to your face and try to make you believe what it is. That's their energy. Don't take that on. And like I was saying before, I do not want this to be a negative thing. So no negative comments, they'll be deleted. I've forgiven Anthony, everybody involved. This has pushed me to a place of inner peace. Literally inner peace. I've learned unconditional love and forgiveness. I'm not mad at anybody. I actually see this as happening for me. They pushed me into my life purpose. They literally made me the best version of myself I've ever been. And to hate them, or to threaten them, or to do something that, the old ways that I would have done to protect my children years ago would have wound up me lowering my energy and putting me in jail. And then what good would I have done my kids? Then what good would I have been able to do any of you? Because I promise you, through this experience, it's pushed me into my life purpose, my soul mission. It's made me literally the best person I've ever been in my whole entire life. And I'm so proud of that person. And I want to actually, this is Anthony Germano. This is him. Look at him. I still, after all he's put my family through, I still want to pinch this fat little chubby. Come here, pinch your fat chubby cheeks. Look at him. Look at him. Don't you want to just pinch his cheeks? He's really got a good soul, and I know he's probably very upset with me right now for making this public. But I know deep down inside he didn't want to do this to my family. It was he was put in a predicament, but that's where the predicaments we get put in for the choices that we make. And I realize that I'm sitting here today because I signed an acknowledgement of paternity, consciously or subconsciously, not knowing the full details, maybe not listening to my intuition that something wasn't right here. When I saw the name, and called him on it, but I could tell you, even before he gave me the advice, once I realized that there was something shady going on, I started recording. I've been recording him and documenting and recording him for a lot longer than he probably thinks I was. Because I knew if it came down to it, if it was him or me, I know he's the one who has friends, and he's made threats to me. He's said, Julie Cecil, you know who her husband is, Michael? And at the time, I had no idea who her husband was. And he said her husband is the chief of police. And I Googled it, and sure enough, the chief of police's last name is Cecil. I'm pretty sure that that's her husband, from what I understand. And I was told that Jeff Shiano, who is his one of his best friends and partner, I've been told that his brother is a sheriff, and he's got another brother or cousin or something that's in the state police. So I obviously went above everybody long before, and I was guided to reach out to certain agencies and try to report this for a reason, and the reason being, I'm guessing, is to see if his threats were accurate. I did file a report with the Onondaga County Sheriff's Department that fraudulent things have been done, and I had a deputy come out to my house months ago, sit down. I went over, gave her a full statement, gave her a little bit of evidence. She said a detective, investigator, whatever would get back to me. Nobody has. I reached out a couple times on Onondaga County Sheriff's Department, and I haven't heard back from them. So I don't know if it's a very coincidental mistake or if his threats rang true. I can tell you a lot of the things that he's threatened in the divorce. He mentioned the divorce judge specifically and told me if I was to mention the acknowledgement of paternity, that he would do some things, and he's done them and he's tried to do them. And I've literally been fighting him and his attorney friends, and through emails and through the courts, and up against they call it I was told it's called the blanket effect, where I've called over 40 attorneys, and none of them want to take my money. Stacks. A lot more where this came from too. Tons of them. Stacks. So that's another thing we're going to do here today. If you're local, Syracuse, New York, Onondaga County, and I see a lot of people post, my attorney this, my attorney that, I got the best attorney. You want to find out if he's the best attorney? We'll find out if he's the best attorney today. I want you to tag them, drop their name in the comments. I've talked to 2 attorneys, one I possibly might hire. I told them, well, I'm going to sit down with you, I'm going to go over the facts, and I want to record our conversations. Do you have a problem with that? Absolutely not. Okay, that's how you find out if an attorney's good. Nobody wants to be recorded, but this day and age, I can tell you, I've dealt with 2 attorneys. One was appointed to me by the courts, and one was Richard Barton that absolutely worked against me. And as you saw in the videos, I was lied to. I mean, he did illegal things, let alone unethical. So, and the other one, I have some stuff on him yet, but I'm not trying to do a smear campaign. I'm trying to fix some things that are very broken in our system. It's 2024, and we have law guardians, AFCs. They are not trained to handle children. They are not no mental health training. As a matter of fact, pretty sure some of them are hurting and broken themselves. So, that being said, if you have an attorney that you praise, okay, drop them in the comments. I got a $5,000 retainer right now for a family court trial coming up. If they're legit and honest, I would prefer to use someone locally. The person I've been speaking to is planning on coming here from a distance, but my intuition tells me that they mean business and that they actually care, and that they're not worried about being the cool kid in the courtroom or their livelihood being screwed with. I can see how these attorneys in the hallways and what they do is they and I've even heard some judges doing it. They gaslight, and they kind of pick on you if you don't go along with the cool kids. So I think some of the attorneys that I've actually reached out to don't want to get involved in it with fear that they might get retaliation against them. In fear that they may, like their livelihood. You piss off a couple judges, and you're a family court attorney. Well, guess what? The odds are going to be stacked against you, and they're not going to be going in your favor if you don't play along with the rules. And some judges are very honest, and the lawyers make the decisions in the hallway. From what I'm finding out, we have I was told that by numerous people, I've heard Judge Cecil's a bleeding heart. A lot of the lawyers don't like her because they think she's too soft. And what they like to do is they like to be the judge and the jury and the executioner right out in the hallway and force deals in the hallway. You guys heard Richard Bombardo, my attorney, forcing me that if we went to trial, which I'm pretty sure in America we have a right to a trial and not to be threatened. He threatened me, said if we go to trial that I'm going to lose access to all my kids. And then after, you heard him telling me if I wrote her a letter or tried to contact her about the stuff that I uncovered with Mr. Germano, that she would take my kids away. He didn't know I didn't know what can of worms I was opening. And I guess what? At that time, and then he wanted me to go before the judge and lie to her, which I also have recorded that was sent. silly me, I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to go and lie before a judge. I said, if you want to do that to save your ass, I said, you go right ahead. I said, but I've already recorded you lying to me, getting me to lie to a judge, trying to get me to sign a falsified document in Supreme Court saying that we came to an agreement in family court when we clearly didn't. I said, you tried to trick me, and now you're trying to get me to lie to a judge. And even if I did trust you, I know lying to a judge is nothing good is going to come out of that. So at that point, that was in November of 2022, I sent the courts all the recordings of Richard Bombardo. I was told by court attorney Sarah Langdon that those recordings I sent her were hearsay. They were direct evidence of my former attorney Richard Bombardo committing a crime, and they were kept from Judge Cecil, and just like currently things are being kept from Judge Cecil. But because I'm pro se representing myself, I emailed all the parties involved. I've been emailing them all the evidence, and I still believe it's being kept from the judge. Little legal loopholes. I'm not an attorney, but I'm very smart, and I've been doing some research, and I've been consulting with attorneys, and I can pretty much tell you, if I consulted with them, I can tell you that I can literally tell you if whether you want to talk to them or not. In a good way to do it is say, do you have a problem with me recording this conversation? Somebody who doesn't lie and someone who's got nothing to hide won't care if they're being recorded. As a matter of fact, we're recorded every day. If you come into my house, I got surveillance cameras all inside and outside of this place. I can see every corner of this house except for the bathrooms. You walk into a store, you walk into a bank, you walk into any building anywhere, and you're recorded. If someone has a problem with that and it's a legal matter, first of all, if they say no, then obviously they have something to hide. But if someone says yes, I don't have a problem, that means they have nothing to hide. And especially this day and age with the courts and the attorneys, why would you, like, I've literally, they won't speak to me on the phone. No attorney will speak to me on the phone because they know I record. And some of the attorneys that I do have that didn't know, that weren't aware at the time, I've got them, their lies have lies. So if you have a court case coming up, please message me, and I can put you in contact with some right people. I can give you some advice. But if follow your intuition, follow your gut. If something doesn't feel right, follow it. Moving along with what happened here. He signed another attorney's name to this thing, and the paralegal Karen Smith. Her name is Wendy Baker, and I'm not trying to get people in trouble here, but when I do another video, and I don't want to be the victim, but once you understand what I've been going through, you're going to understand more why I'm making this video. If anybody who's ever been through this type of threats and literally ganged up against, because I've had, since I put up on Facebook, I put up my Germano post about the acknowledgement of attorney, and I put up the Richard Bombardo post of a few of the clips, put a little bit of stuff out there just to stir things up. Well, by doing that, I had a whole bunch of people come forward. I had a woman who's suffering from PTSD right now because Anthony Germano took her kids away. Had CPS take her kids away. She says that man gave me, and I don't know the details, but I can tell you I've heard other stories by other people, and I'm going through it right now. So I believe this girl. I believe what she's been through. I'm not saying she was a saint. I don't know all the details, but I can tell you that she had her children taken away by CPS. Anthony Germano was a law guardian, and his wife works for CPS. I think there's a conflict there. So kind of like, if you don't do what I say, or you want to question me or whatever, I'll make your life miserable. I've got at least 7 or 8 people with the same or similar stories to what I've been through, or the CPS having their kids taken away. And when I told this woman that I said, did you know his wife works for CPS? She flipped out. She said, no, absolutely not. So she's looking into some things on her end. But if you've ever, reported anybody and nothing has happened, please, I've got channels to people that can help. I've been doing this for going on 2 years now. and there could be a class action lawsuits involved. I've spoke with some people outside of the city. I've spoke with some people outside of the state, and so they're absolutely dumbfounded from what's going on and how nothing is happening for it. And I said, it's, we got to go before the judge isn't seeing it. I don't believe the judge is seeing it. I don't believe that Judge Julie Cecil, who has an outstanding reputation, she's been a family court judge as far as I can remember. I remember hearing her name, seeing the signs years and years ago. Her husband is the chief of police. I can't see that those two people are going to follow through on Anthony Germano's threats. I believe that they used those threats to scare me, but I don't believe Judge Cecil or her husband are going to punish me because Anthony Germano committed fraud. What I believe it's them trying to scare me with that, and it's him and Arlene Bradshaw and other attorneys for my ex. She's had two now, court-appointed attorneys too, to my knowledge. One was definitely, and she makes well above the limit. So she's been getting favors to kind of keep her mouth shut. She's got the McKinney-Vento program, which she should never qualify for, to have Bella bust to the district when she was still in Bowen's old district. To my knowledge, she's living in a Vera house right now with a false restraining order that helped her get there. So free attorneys, one for sure, the current one, I'm pretty sure it's sure, because she would not be going through all this. She would not be spending her money on this. I'll put a video in the attached to this one of what her money is spent on and what I did with it, and which is part of the reason why we're here right now. I flushed at least a half pound of weed down the toilet because her her habits were just unbelievable. That was part of what led up to where we are now. But we have another one. This one is a paternity petition that she filled out. I was served with, and this is in June of 22. And it says, I am the birth mother, and it gives all the information. It gives her address, and this is after she moved out, after we split up, during this whole time. And and it says in here, I gave birth to the child, and it says Bella's name. And it says born with her biological father's last name. And then female child out of wedlock, and it gives Bella's birthday. And it said, I am requesting an order for genetic testing to determine the paternity of the child. I was not married. Now, I'm going to stop there for 1 second. Why would she be requesting a DNA test when she knows that I'm not the biological father and another man is? Because this is after this date, the other one. The respondent acknowledged paternity in writing. Signed acknowledgement of paternity. Number 8, upon and belief of no individual has been adjudicated father of this child, either in this court or any other court, including Native American and non-individual has signed acknowledgement of paternity. No individual has signed acknowledgement of paternity for this child except Antonio, and it gives his last name. Boom! Like my head like wants to explode. Like every statement, and they're all before different judges. We got support magistrate, or one was before magistrate Cecil Serio, and they all contradict themselves. And then if you see the Supreme Court statements, those will even blow your mind more. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother story. I am hereby applying for child support services from the collections program. So she's saying she wants a paternity test from me. She's saying another man is already the father, and then she wants child support from me. This one ended up getting thrown out as well too. I'm just reading it because there was like 6 of these. that I got hit with all at once, and I know why it was done. It was to kind of screw with me, give me all this paperwork, think I was just gonna fold. I don't fold when it comes to children, not mine or yours. I won't fold. I promise you, I will not lay down. With my last breath, I will get on here speaking the truth. With my last breath, with my last dollar, I will be protecting children. I will be advocating for my family and yours, because this is family court. I've been asking. I've sent things to the law guardian, and I'm not going to get into details or bash anybody, but I've sent things to her that any law guardian would take custody away from the children and give it to the father. And I've been asking to get her help. I want, mental health, drug evaluation, certain things to help my family. My children love their mother. Okay. My children love me. Isabella has been kept from me for almost a year now because the law guardian says that she does not want to be with me. And I have her phone call recorded between me and her. After I caught Bombardo, she called to try to smooth it over, and it's recorded. And she tells me how much Bella loves me. She just wants to live with her mom a little more. That age, the girl, she's got her period. She wants to be with her mom more. She loves you. Bella thinks the world of you, Michael. A couple months later, the whole story changed, and Bella doesn't want to see me. What the problem is the thing that's going on here is mom, they can't say, they have to listen to mom, because if mom says no to joint custody, because she's going to raise the roof and she's going to tell the truth of what happened here. She's going to say this was done fraudulently. Anthony Germano did a fraudulent quickie adoption, she's been calling it. And Isabella is not his daughter. And she clearly, I've read you in the past couple statements here, that she's said that blatantly. And then I don't know if she thought threatening me with child support was going to back me off, but it didn't. But I right now have no legal rights to Isabella. I've talked to a couple adoption attorneys, and I've talked to some civil rights attorneys and human rights attorneys, and I've been told that there's no way. It has to be reported to the courts as fraud, and that they should vacate the acknowledgement of paternity because I'm not her biological father. I don't have a legal leg to stand on. Unless I was to do a real adoption, but obviously mom and her biological father would have to agree to that. They took her away from me because they allowed mom to, literally they gave a narcissist and mentally ill woman power and control. I have mom recorded saying that how she made the schedule and she's calling the shots because Arlene let her, and they have no choice, but because she knew she had this information all along, so they had to keep her happy. And the attorneys have been keeping me and the truth away from the judge, including my own, an attorney that I paid $10,400 to, that you heard in the videos, lied to me, mislead me, tried to get me to lie to a judge. I mean, broke the law. I sent these videos to the courts. I posted them publicly on Facebook. If you know any of these people, judges, tag them in the comments below if you're local. This needs to be seen, and I'm told that if the judge doesn't see it, it basically didn't happen. And that's of course it is. That's why the lawyers have the lawyers only meetings. You don't have to have those meetings. And if a lawyer is going to have a lawyers only meeting, there's a reason for that. Know that there's a reason for the attorneys only off the record meetings. It's so they can screw someone over. It's so they can tell you, they can figure it out, they can come tell you a story, and then they can sneak little tricks in there. And I've got examples of that. If you're in a court process right now, have been, or got one coming up, especially in family court, we want to know, because there's a bunch of us now, we want to know who your attorney is, who their attorney is, especially want to know what judge you're before, and who the law guardian is. They call them AFCs now, attorney for child. But we want to know who you are. If you've got a lawyer that you swear by, I see people all the time. And one of my posts, someone recommended Richard Bombardo's fiance. It was hysterical, and I didn't know who she was, so I looked her up, and people are like, "Oh, she kills cats," and Like you can't make this stuff up. Like I hope they're both. They seem like they'll be very happy together. Um, and I'm going to tell you right now, at the end of this day, I don't wish any bad on any of these people. I can tell you, I can look at some of them and I can see their souls. I can see into their souls, which I can do with a lot of people, and I see pain. I see people that are hurt, and hurt people hurt people. That's what they do. You know, everybody's broken in a way. If no one's healing, some people actually get off on hurting people. It makes them feel better about themselves. I can tell you this whole experience has brought me, and I'll say it a million times. I think Anthony Germano, Richard Bombardo, Arlene Bradshaw, I thank them for what they've put me through, because they did it to me. They didn't do it to me, they did it for me. They pushed me to the edge where I could have literally snapped, and you guys could have heard me on the news and said, wow, man, why would Orbs do that? He's a great guy, man. Like, wow, I can't picture that he would do that. And if you know me from the back in the days, you know what I'm capable of and what I could have done, and how that's what they wanted. They wanted to push me to be that person that I'm not, that I never was, but could have been. They push you, they lie to you, they twist the truth, they literally try to trick you and connive you, and then they look at you and like you're crazy. So they literally push you to the edge. The last time I was in court, there was two guards behind me. I've never seen more than one in a family courtroom. I don't know. Maybe she was working over. One of them was working overtime. But I truly believe that Arlene Bradshaw had an extra one there because she planned on pushing my buttons. She planned on pushing me over the top. I will never lower myself to anyone's energy. I don't care what you do to me, what threats you make, what you take from me, because I can promise you I've already taken it all mentally from myself already. Nelson Mandela, I read something on him that said he quit smoking cigarettes when he was in prison because the guards controlled the prison with the cigarettes, and he didn't want anybody to control him, so he quit smoking. Nicotine is one of the most addictive substances there is. And I used to smoke, and it was the hardest thing that I've ever quit. But he did that, and it kind of hit home for me, because what I've been doing is I've self-mastered myself. There's nobody anything can do to me that I haven't done to myself. I don't have any addictions. I've self-mastered, and these people push me to the edge. Literally, the fine line between love and hate. They could have pushed me into becoming an absolute monster. They could have pushed me into killing myself. The things that have been happening, and that's another video, all happened for me. I will never be a victim. I can promise I thank and love all of you guys that have done this to me, that have been put in my family. And I can literally attach it to a biblical verse. Forgive them, Father, they don't know, because they don't know. They don't know that they actually helped me. They don't know that they actually made me so rich that that when I'm done with these lawsuits and these class action lawsuits, I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna put it into the most positive energy we'll ever see. I'm gonna make sure some changes are made. Whether if I have to go to Congress, I've already mapped out a whole bunch of things. I've already been talking to people, but I promise you, changes are gonna be made. I'm gonna lobby. I'm gonna lobby lawmakers. This is what I'm gonna spend my time doing. I'm gonna make sure that the law guardians have access to mental health counselors for themselves. Maybe need evaluations, and for the parents. I don't have a problem seeing a mental health and getting an evaluation. I don't have a problem taking a drug test. Maybe it should be mandatory. Maybe there shouldn't be any hall room, back room, lawyers only meetings. You know, there's a lot of things that I found that are cracks in the system. It's 2024. You know, we can't have miserable, disgruntled, hateful, and even ones that are in pain, that have their own pain, in the hallway playing God with our children. We have to take our power back. I don't care what anyone says. Going through this the past couple years, I've literally looked and analyzed, and some of you know that I have a very high IQ. I never applied it and went to law school. Thank God, because then I would be one of them. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I'm saying this in a way as I was able to, this all happened, everything, my whole life led me to this day. My whole life led me to my future, what my future plan are, what my life purpose is. And it's going to be done. It's going to be done like you have no idea. I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to take this experience, and I'm transmuting that energy into positive energy. Any energy they can throw at me, any threats, anything they can take from me, even my own children. You know, I understand biblical verses, and I'm not even going to church or reading the Bible. I'm more spiritual now. But I understand biblical verses that I heard my whole life. Sins of our fathers, generational curses. Like, I understand them on a whole different level now because I've lived them, I've experienced them. And I see that these people, I literally learned what Jesus was trying to teach people: unconditional love and forgiveness. The part they don't tell you is the healing part. You have to do the healing part. But I can promise you, I'm proud of myself because love thy enemy. I never understood that. Being a Catholic most of my life, I used to want to punch the priest. I remember telling my mom one time, I want to punch him. And I would think of my enemy, someone who did something to me, and how could I love them or how could I forgive them? I know how now. I totally know what that meant now. It meant I'm because I can see the bigger picture. I don't condone what they've done. I'm not going to allow them to do it anymore. I'm going to stand up for myself. But at the same time, it all happened for a reason. This all happened for a reason. It happened so I can make a difference, and I can help your children, and you can help your children, and we can take this power back that's literally corrupted the system, because these lawyers are doing whatever they want in the hallways. And I'm not saying every lawyer, and I'm not saying every judge, I'm not saying anybody specifically, but the ones that I've come across, the attorneys that I've came across, and the ones that I've mentioned, I mean, if a man can take if a man can take a child away from another man and put his name on a birth certificate and strip him of his biological rights twice, to her biological father and then me, that's pretty powerful if I don't say so myself. This man was able to take, granted he wasn't a good father, he wasn't in the picture, but he was imagined to take his parental rights away and his last name off of her birth certificate and replace it with mine, and then take my rights away to make sure my wife was happy, ex-wife was happy and quiet, and didn't expose him for that. And then rounded up his bulldog, Arlene Bradshaw, to make a court order, and then to throw some loopholes in there, and then to take the few stipulations I had away that Richard Bombardo tried to trick me with. That's why I fired him. And then I had the court attorney keep all this stuff from the judge. So I filed a petition. It's about this thick, and I put a whole bunch of the evidence that was left out, and the fraudulent stuff that was done. So now I'm hoping that the judge will be reviewing all that, and that they will be forwarding these emails that I've been sending, that all parties are agreed in, and I'm technically an attorney. I'm a pro se. I'm representing myself. So we're going to find out, because I'm also going to report Anthony Germano's fraud to the Syracuse Police Department and see if if I'm tortured by the Syracuse Police Department as well. And I'll keep all you posted. And if something does happen to me, there's a whole bunch of people that will be in my place posting things on YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. I want to thank everybody that shared this, liked, commented. Anybody that's going through this, I feel you. Hit me up. I'm there for you. We're there for you. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any questions or anyone through this, I'm not trying to take the place of anybody's attorney. I'm definitely not an attorney, but I can give you some advice on the things that I've been through and some tips, and I can point you in the right direction to some people that do care. Any questions, comments, please, YouTube, like, share. I want to thank everybody on YouTube. Millions of views, literally millions. I think it was 9 million and some change last time I looked on the video, completely between 3 pages. It was shared over 9 million views. I've had people reach out. Thank you. I appreciate you more than you know. Retired state Supreme Court judges and wanting to know what town this is in, where is this happening? How is this possible? Why isn't anybody doing anything? Did you call so-and-so? Did you check with this agency? Did you check with that agency? Yes, yes, yes. And then even bigger stories from there hit the fan. So I am here. I'm doing this not as a negative thing. I'm doing this for positive. I can't stress that enough. These people, I love them. They push me into this to make changes. This is how I can forgive them. You cannot, you can't make this up, man. Thank you. Literally, thank you. And I want everybody literally to send some positive energy, especially, and prayers, positive energy, whatever you believe in, to Anthony Germano, Arlene Bradshaw, and Richard Bombardo. Especially those 3 are like the prime suspects, the culprits in this case. And I'm thanking them. I'm sending them love, positive energy. You will never break me. You will never break me. I will never turn into the person that you guys say I am. I've had some people come up to me, neighbors and other people, and they have said that they've been told horrible things about me, that I was charged with rape, and that I was charged with assault, and that I was charged with hate crimes. Richard Bombardo, one of the videos you guys heard him ask me if I was a Nazi because of my teardrop tattoo that I got from my best friend Jay and my Aunt Carla that passed in a short time span in between 2 of them, and they were both very special to me. And and my tattoos, if you know me, I'm all spiritual. I'm all religious type of artwork, spiritual, Sacred Hearts, Jesus, Mary, all positive. And he violated my rights there as well. But all these horrible things. And I do have a cousin. His name is Michael Orbino. His middle initial is J. So we have different middle initials, and he lives in Canandaigua. He did live in North Syracuse briefly with his father a few times here and there. I've met him, literally I count on my hand how many times I met him on one hand. And I think 3 of the times that we were toddlers, we were younger. So he lives in Canandaigua, and he was accused of a hate crime. He defended himself in that trial and won. I don't know the facts. I don't even know him that well. But he defended himself in that trial and won. Has Tourette's or something. He defended himself in that trial and won. Why? Because he got to speak in front of the jury, and he got to speak in front of a judge. He didn't go before the lawyer. He didn't let the lawyers make a deal in the hallway. A kid with mental illness defended himself and won. He didn't trust the lawyer. The lawyer wanted him to take a plea deal and go to prison for 4 or 5 years, a lower deal, for a hate crime. And he had Tourette's. Google it. You can't make this up. Then he was charged with like a decade-year-old rape in Canandaigua or something. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is why these people are asking me. I put it together. This is why these people are asking me, and calling me a Nazi. And were you ever arrested in another city? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was something like in Canandaigua, and it hit me. She's been telling people, and I'm pretty sure that she probably used and Googled my distant cousin here's past, and maybe that's how she got her help. They helped with the Vera House, but never been incarcerated, assault, for assault or a hate crime or a rape. In the rape charge, he represented himself and won. Now, I don't know the facts. I don't judge anybody, not him. I don't know what happened. He represented himself and won. With no legal experience, mental illness, and to my knowledge, he drinks and dabbles with drugs. He represented himself and won. He would not allow the lawyers or take a plea bargain or the lawyer deal. They wanted to give him 10 years on this decade-old rape of some drunken sex night he had with some girl, apparently, from what I read. and he won. And I don't know if he should have won, but I can tell you, I don't know the details, and I wasn't there that night. But he defended himself before 12 jurors and a judge, and he won. That speaks volumes in itself a lot. And I can't imagine if he was guilty, he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have got off. I don't think the jury would have acquitted him. But it speaks volumes of that he defended himself in two major trials. One was looking at 5-6 year plea bargain, and then one was looking at a 10-year plea bargain. That's 16 years of the man's life that he would have been in prison had he took a plea bargain. Had he said, okay, I've taken plea bargains before because I didn't want to go to trial, because I was scared that if I lose, I could do 20 years, man. I could do 10 years. You know what? I'll take the probation. I would have never done that. If I could rewind, I would have represented myself, or I would have fought harder and said, no, you know what? I don't want to take the plea bargain. I don't think that was fair. Or I didn't do it. Or, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I took the plea bargain because I wasn't completely guilty of what I was charged with, but I wasn't a complete saint either. And why waste, 15, 20 grand on trial, and I'll take the probation, whatever. And, we have these choices to make, but I can tell you that a lot of the time they use the fear to, and I there was a slight chance that, maybe the judge could, take my kids. I didn't know for sure. So at that time I was in a little bit of fear, and I kind of did agree with it, because if anybody knows me, the one thing I would be scared of is losing my children. I can tell you I even conquered that fear, because they're not my children. They're God's children. They have a purpose here too. And I have mentally prepared myself for the worst possible case scenario, and I hope and pray and manifest the best. But I don't have control over anybody else's life, including my own children. I will fight for them until the day I die, and then after that, I will be a ghost, and I will still fight for them. And I will, if reincarnated into another life, I will continue to fight for them and every other child, man, woman, and child out here. Families, it's about families. Family court is about families. It shouldn't be about covering up fraud for another attorney, or swapping people out, or what should be happening is, and I'm not saying that they're not doing anything there, because I've heard some good stories too. I've talked to some people that have custody of their kids, that this went down, and when I heard their side of the story, they ended up with custody. So I can see there's good going on too. I'm not trying to say everybody is corrupt and every case is bad, but I can tell you, when it comes down to it, if you piss the wrong person off, or you don't have a friend, they'll give custody to an unfit parent, just to cover up Anthony Germano's fraud. And I hate even to make this video, man, and I don't wish any bad about Anthony. What I wish for everybody is the best. He has a family. They all have families, and I don't want to see them or their families get hurt because of this. But I can tell you that this whole time, I have been advocating to do this quietly, so I didn't have to go this route. And I've been giving people the opportunity to just, I made the deal so this didn't have to come out. I made the agreement to joint custody of the kids stay in the Baldwinsville School District, and then slowly but surely the kids were both taken out of Baldwinsville School District, breaking a court order. Nothing happened to mom. I didn't bring him to pre-K because I never received the order first, and he was never on their schedule. I never received a text message. I never received the emails from the district as I requested, until the day after court, I didn't get a text message from Porter School, and I've been told that the kids are eligible to go to Baldwinsville School. I own a home in Baldwinsville. Anthony Germano was also on the Board of Education. I have a letter from the Baldwinsville School District, and I have numerous recorded conversations with another video, but with the whole school district, from Mary Moyer to Joe DeBarbery and I've got and his assistant, and I have all three of them lying to me with different stories, and I have proof that they took my children out of the school district because the amount of nighttime hours that Isabella was at my house, which was put in the court order by Arlene Bradshaw, but I found nothing on their website that said anything was based anything other than joint custody and one of the parents living in the home. So if you've ever had, that's another thing, if you've ever had anything with the Baldwinsville school or the Syracuse City School District attached to either one, courts especially, you were told something that wasn't true, or the kids were taken out of a district. From what I'm understanding is Arlene Bradshaw has a website called divorcedmoms.com, and some of them are school teachers, some work for the Board of Education, some of them are doctors, some of them are lawyers. She's got a little underground railroad, I guess you could say, of divorcedmoms.com that all kind of help each other out. And they do, what I understand, I've been told a couple scenarios, is that they do help women get away from abusive situations, which in a sense that I would commend that. But it shouldn't have to be done illegally if it's in a true abusive situation. I have a restraining order that I was served almost a year ago that's not in the system. And every one of my court orders says on the very front of it that the statewide database has been searched for restraining orders and it has came up negative. It's not in my system on the NewYorkCourts.gov. I commend them for all chipping in, and maybe the Underground Railroad helping women get away from an abusive relationship into a Vera house in hiding, which they've done to her on the backside. Because on the front side, I'm nothing but a great dad, and nobody else can change that or make a difference. Tag your lawyers. If you're on Facebook, tag your lawyers. You want to see how good they are? I want to see if they get a consultation with me. I got money, cash on deck. Money, thousands. There's more in the bank, thousands. I want to thank everybody on YouTube who's been. One of the guys started a GoFundMe. He says you got at the time I think it was like 7 or 8 million viewers. I don't remember. He says you got millions of viewers, and we're gonna ask everybody for $1, and we're gonna start this company, this non-for-profit company we've been talking about, which I'll talk more about on Facebook. But for the people on YouTube, I want to thank all the support, all the love, all the comments, likes, subscribe, shares, everybody that's been a huge part of this, the civil rights people, the freedom fighters, the auditors, the amendment, civil rights amendment auditors who go around with the cameras. Like, those guys taught me a lot. They've been supportive, and they're jumping in to help, and they're saying that he brought this to a whole nother level, that he just revolutionized. And I don't look at myself as that. I look at myself as just wanting to make a change, and the power of media and social media. That's how the whole We the People thing. I've been into astrology along with spirituality now too, and Pluto just returned. If anybody doesn't know what that means, it's huge. Pluto returned. It's the same energy, and it's the same. The planets are in the same position they were in 1776 and 1777. Pluto doesn't come around until every 220 years or 250 years-ish. And when it does, it brings the We the People type energy, and it's amazing how the spirituality and the astrology I'm kind of putting together, and it's actually taught me to it's also helped teach me understand love, unconditional love, and forgiveness. Everything is energy. We're all one. I don't want to see any of these people that are hurting me get hurt. I want everybody to please, especially Arlene Bradshaw, Anthony Germano, and Richard Bombardo, send them love. You want someone to stop throwing negative energy at you, throwing bad at you. Dark hates the light. Like, you throw them positive energy, throw them love back. They don't, you love the devil. Like Sympathy for the Devil, the Rolling Stones. I never understood that song fully until recently either. It's amazing what these people have taught me, and I thank them, and I send them love back for it. No hate. Don't need any extra security in the courtroom with me. I don't care what they say. I'm not going to come out of character or literally learn unconditional love, forgiveness, healing, and truth. Truth and love. Someone very important to me told me that one day. It's all about truth and love, and she was so right. But I can tell you that I've learned unconditional love and forgiveness. Catholic Church, Christian Church, my whole life I couldn't understand it. I just recently had to figure it out with my direct connection. But it's all love. Like Bob Marley, John Lennon, all these, Martin Luther King, all these great people. That's what they spoke. They spoke the truth, and they loved. Like they loved. That's it. And that's what you send these people love. Someone hates you, you fire back at them. They're controlling you. They control your energy. Don't let them control your energy. Don't let anybody control your energy. Someone calls you a bad name, that's how they feel about themselves. That's them reflecting how they feel about themselves onto you. Don't let them change the person you are. You're having a great day. Someone pisses you off by what they say. Why does what they say affect you? No judgment. I used to let it happen all the time. Someone looked at me wrong. We got a problem? It's because I had a problem with myself. I healed that. I learned what Jesus has been trying to teach people for thousands of years, man. Unconditional love and forgiveness. If I can forgive these people for what they're doing and have done to my children, and if you know me, I did it. I accomplished the almighty accomplishment, because if anybody that knows me knows how I am about my children especially. If I can forgive these people right now for what they've done to my children and what they're doing for me, that's why I forgive them. You have no idea what you're capable of. And that's all I can say, man. Thank everybody. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make this go viral. We need, especially in Syracuse, New York, Onondaga County, we need some changes being made. I'm sure you probably do too. I'm sure it's global. It's not just here. But I love you guys. I thank you all. I especially send these people love and positive energy. I love y'all. I'm out.